Today's project is rear brakes on my wife's car. Step one, get that thing off of there. Make sure you put the lug nut somewhere you're going to lose them. Yeah, that works. Okay. So, I'm guessing these are probably factory brakes. Doesn't have a whole lot of miles on it, but you got to get these screws out. And I stripped the one out on the other side and ended up having to drill it. So I got a pry bar between a couple of the studs down to the ground to keep it from spinning. And then I got a screwdriver, and we'll see if I can hit. That one broke loose, that's good. And then this one. Nope. Yep, okay. There we go, that worked out. I only put one back in on the other side. It's just there to keep the frickin' rotor on during assembly, you know, when the car's rolling down the assembly line. So they're not really necessary. You know, the wheel holds the rotor on, so it's not a big deal. But I got to get this plug out. This is so you can see through to the parking brake. Yeah, you can see. So the parking brake is in here. It's like a drum brake with a disc on top of it. So I got to get that out because that goes in the new drum. Keep shit out of there and all that. So let me get some tools and some light so you can see better. All right, it should be out of the way enough for me to do most of this. Here's a little plug. And then I need this. On this side, there's, okay, so the brake caliper has to come off straight. It's the way the pad's attached to the caliper, but there's not enough slack in the line, so I got to take this bracket off here, and let's see what size is it, 12 millimeter. So I'm still going to leave you there. And let's see what we can do. Okay, yeah. That's enough of that. Yeah, you can't see anything. Okay. So, if I can get this out of here, let's just move that. Put it back in the hole. Give me my socket back. Okay. Now, we'll loosen the caliper bolts. Okay, so grab the caliper and try and squeeze the piston back so we don't need any tools to do it. And then hopefully we got enough slack here. Oh, maybe not. Jeez, man. Still plenty of slack, but I'll show you. Alright, hang the caliper up there. Alright, so you see, yeah, this is the back of the pad, and the pad is frozen. So, here's the pad. This goes inside the caliper, so I just had to break it off. So what the problem is, it gets rust underneath these metal things and jacks it up so the pad can't slide out. You know, the pad's supposed to come out that way, but there's too much rust on it, so it wouldn't come out right. Whatever, it's out now. Alright, so then next, take our 17 millimeter to get the bracket off. Actually, let's do it this way. Oh, need a cheater. Alright, that worked. Where'd it go? Little 17s. Okay. So, if you look at the pads, let's see, can you see? Get the light a little bit. Oh, shit, now I'm blind. What you got? Okay, yeah, now you can see. Alright, so you see how much thicker this one is than that one. What that tells me is the slider pins. Yep, that one's frozen. Wow, that's really bad. So I'll have to deal with that. This is what I was talking about. These things get rust underneath, and it jacks it up, and that makes the pad sticky in there. So that's got to come out. And there's one in here. Let me get a screwdriver on it. Get out of there. Get out of here. There we go. Alright. So the new pads came with hardware, so I don't have to mess with that. And then the next thing, I gotta get the rotor off. Oh, this one's a lot looser than the other one. I had to beat the other one off with a hammer. But that's it. So all that crap is the parking brake. And we'll blow it off and clean it up a little bit. Let's see what else we got. Looks like that piston went back far enough. But if not, what you could do is you put the old pad, oh, of course you can't see anything. You put the old pad back against that and then use a C-clamp to squeeze it. But fortunately on this one we don't have to. If you're really fancy, where is it? I got a tool. I don't know where the heck it is. Hold on a second, let me find it. If you're really fancy, there's one of these. And you stick it in here like this. And just squeeze. And it'll push it back. But, what did I get? It's a Lyle, I think. Got it on Amazon. I don't remember how much it was. There's a US patent number. I don't know if that'll help you, but whatever. I mean, it's not plastic. That's an aluminum or something. So it kind of works like a caulk gun. It just pushes it. But that's fancy tool. Okay, let me get this thing up on the bench. Start working on this frozen one. Hopefully I can get it loose. Otherwise we're gonna have big problems. Alright, so this is a square. We'll put a 17 on there and see if we can... Okay, good, we broke it free. But it's still way too tight. So I gotta get it out of there, clean it up, and re-grease it. Wow. Alright, let me get some pliers. Okay. Alright, so let's hit that thing on the wire wheel. Okay, all clean. But it's still tight in there. So I got to figure out how to get all the grease and crap out of that. I saw they make like it's like a bottle brush that goes in there, you put on a drill and you can clean it out, but I don't have one of those. So I'm going to have to kind of fake it here. Oh yeah, and all that. It's thick. Come on, focus, you turd. Yeah, that's super thick. Let me get some brake cleaner, spray it in there. Alright, activate your safety squints. That's nasty. A lot of crap in there. That's just old grease. Jeez, oh man. I might have to find something better. A lot of crap in there. Let's see. Yeah, it's not any better. You can still see the crap coming off on there. Alright, let me work on this for a little while. I'll be right back. Alright, got it all cleaned out. So that goes real nice. I pulled the rubber boot off, so I'm going to try and clean out the groove where that boot goes. That should help it going a little easier. Get some grease. Okay, so I think this went this way. Oh, loud noise environment, according to the watch. Alright. Lube this thing up. I can't see anything. There's goober on the end of it. Stuff in there. Very nice. Okay, so there's that. Next thing we got to do is grind these, grind the surfaces here where those little brackets go, where the caliper rides on. Over to the other side. Get some dust out of there. And next we need, let's see, what we gotta do? Put the rotor on, I guess. So I got the rotor over here. See what I'm doing? Of course not. I need a wider angle camera. Start using a GoPro. Let's go like this. Napa, not a sponsor. There's our fancy new. Let's see. Goes there. Okay. Now what did I do with those little dinky screws that I pulled out of there? Okay. There's one. And a screwdriver. Where'd you hide it? Oh, I found it, never mind. So, put that in there. And that'll just keep the rotor from moving around. Okay, so next thing I need that bracket. And so let's clean these off. That's not Loctite on there, that's some kind of grease. Honda must use something red, I guess. Whatever. We'll use anti-seize. If you've never seen that video from BleepinJeep, I'll link it below about anti-seize. It's freaking hilarious. You gotta be extra careful it doesn't get all over everything, because for some reason I'll be pulling this crap out of my hair for the next week. Okay. Okay. Just get those finger tight. I'll use my thumb here to get them thumb tight. So this thing doesn't move. And then we gotta get our bag of hardware. And these things, they'll go in here like that. But before I do that, I want to put a thin film of grease on the bottom, hopefully maybe keep any rust from forming, but you don't want to put too much because it'll end up all over the rotor. And then we'll try and get a little on here. Well, these are stainless, so they shouldn't rust. But better safe than sorry, I guess, right? I don't know. All right, so that should go like that. Okay, so that's that. We'll take this and we'll put a little grease here, anywhere that metal's going to touch metal, and the idea is just to keep everything quiet. I don't know if it actually works or not, but I've watched better mechanics than me do it, so I'm going to do it too. Okay. Take this thing, stuff it in there like that, and you can't see it anymore. Let me Turn this camera up just a little bit. Yeah. That's something. Okay, so we'll put that one there. And this one goes right here. Like that. So I'll take this. Oh, shoot. Where are you at on that? You didn't tell me about the other one I'm missing. So let's put this somewhere safe. This crazy one. Get off me. This thing goes in here. Like that. Okay. Now I'm ready for this thing. Face the right way. Make sure you don't have any grease on the pad. That might make stopping a little bit more difficult. Okay, so let that sit there. Now we got the caliper bolts. Tiny bit of anti-seize on there. So I get it started, and then I can push down, maybe. What's the problem here? It's getting hung up on something. And I don't know what. Oh, I see, okay. You know, fucking Honda, almost as bad as German cars. Almost. Nope. All right. Now if this comes, it doesn't want to pivot on, it wants to go straight on. Okay. Put that back on there. All right. And the bottom bolt. But it never sees. See if I can find that 14 millimeter somewhere. 12 millimeter. What was it? I don't know. 12. And I need the 17 to hold this. Okay. Right. Before I forget, I'm going to put this plug in. Come on now. Get in there. Okay.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. Okay. Get in there, dirty freaking bastard. There we go. All right. Now the torque wrench. I have two torque wrenches. I probably should have set one for the mount bolts and then one for the caliper, but I didn't do that. Okay. They're in my way. You guys are really in my way here. I can't get any leverage. There we go. Okay. All right, so don't need that. So that was 75, I think, 76. And then this is 17. Where is it? 17. Okay. And the only thing I got left is this mount back here. Well, let me put some never sees on. Oh, that's a nasty bolt. All rusted. Okay. Never sees everywhere. Oh hell, ain't nobody got time for that. Okay. All right. Look at that. Just the right amount. Okay, that's it. Put the wheels back on, get off the jack stands, call it a day. All right, let's make sure. Yep, that's it. All right, that's it. I got nothing.